She said it like she'd forgotten how much it used to mean to her, a small smile pulling at the edge of her voice. You always did know how to change the room. The words hung there, soft but sharp, filling the silence between us like the dust caught in late afternoon light. I didn't know what to say. I hadn't seen her in 2 years, not since the day I walked out of her class without looking back, pretending I wasn't carrying her voice with me. Now she was standing in front of me again, older, more composed, but with something gentler beneath the surface. It was supposed to be a quick visit. I'd come back to the campus to drop off a letter of recommendation form. She wasn't even supposed to be here this late, yet the light from her office was still on, spilling out into the empty hallway like a secret waiting to be kept. She looked up when I knocked, and the moment our eyes met, the air shifted. Still working after hours? I said, trying for casual. Her mouth curved. Some habits refuse to retire. I stepped inside. The door clicked shut behind me, too quietly to be accidental. Her office smelled faintly of jasmine tea and old paper, the kind of scent that makes you slow down without realizing why. There were stacks of essays, a worn cardigan hanging off the back of her chair, and a photo on the shelf turned slightly toward the wall. She looked the same, almost, except her hair was shorter, and there were tiny lines near her eyes that deepened when she smiled. I'd imagined this moment 100 times. None of those versions had prepared me for how real she would look under the lamp's soft light, not a fantasy, not an ideal, but a woman whose calm made my chest ache. She motioned to the chair across from her. Sit if you're not in a rush. I'm not. I sat. My knee brushed the edge of her desk. Her gaze flickered down, just for a second, then back up, steady, unreadable. Graduate school treating you well? I guess, I said. It's quieter without someone asking why my essays sound like confessionals. That earned a quiet laugh. You still write like you're trying to be forgiven. I swallowed. Maybe I am. The room went still again, the kind of stillness that made you aware of your own breathing. Her hand reached for her teacup, and when her fingers brushed mine, just barely, either of us moved away. It wasn't a deliberate touch. But it wasn't an accident either. She leaned back, her tone lighter now, though her voice had gone a little lower. You've changed, she said. Good changed? I'm still deciding. Her smile was knowing, not playful, not teasing, but something more dangerous, recognition. For a moment, I thought I saw a trace of something in her eyes, the same uncertainty that had once flickered across her face when she'd lingered too long at my desk, explaining a poem we both understood differently than we should have. The air between us tightened, humming with everything we hadn't said back then. Then the doorknob turned. A shadow crossed the light. She straightened instinctively, her hand retreating to her lap as if caught mid-thought. I stood without meaning to. The door opened halfway, a voice called from the hall, muffled, casual. And just before she answered, she looked at me again, that same quiet, impossible look that said everything she couldn't. Stay. Her eyes seemed to whisper. But her voice said something else entirely. After the interruption, the visitor left almost as quickly as they'd arrived, a student dropping off papers, apologizing for the timing. The door closed again, and the silence that followed felt different this time. She didn't look at me right away. Her hand lingered near her teacup, fingers tracing the rim as if she needed something to do. Sorry about that, she murmured. It's fine, I said. My voice came out quieter than I meant it to. It wasn't fine. The moment had been hanging there, fragile and dangerous, and now we both knew it had existed. I leaned back against the chair, pretending to study the shelves behind her desk. Books lined them in uneven stacks, poetry, literary criticism, a few well-worn novels. There was a photo of her standing by a lake, alone, hair windswept. No ring. I remembered the rumors years ago, the quiet divorce she never spoke of, the husband who'd taken a job out of state and never really come back. I'd never asked? But I'd seen the way she sometimes paused before speaking, as though editing out parts of herself no one had asked to hear. You still live nearby? She asked finally. For now. That's vague. So's the future. That earned a small, tired laugh. You sound older. I smiled, half to hide the ache in my chest. You don't. She tilted her head, eyes catching the light. That's not true. You just learned to see past it. Her words hit too close to where I didn't want to look. She stood, walking toward the window. The faint reflection of her figure shimmered in the glass, all soft lines and restraint. You know, she said, voice low. You shouldn't look at people the way you do. I swallowed. How's that? Like you're memorizing them. Maybe I am. She turned, and for a heartbeat we were too close. I caught the scent of her, jasmine and paper and something warm underneath. Her sleeve brushed my hand, light as breath, and my skin reacted before my thoughts could. She didn't move. Neither did I. It wasn't about crossing a line. It was about realizing it had already been crossed, slowly, over years of glances and silences and unfinished sentences. I shouldn't. She began, then stopped. The pause hung open between us. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words got caught somewhere in my throat. Instead, I reached out, steadying the folder that was slipping from her hands. My fingers met hers, and she didn't pull away. It was nothing, a touch meant to help. But it stayed. Too long. Too still. She looked up, and in that look was every reason to stop, and every reason she wouldn't. Outside, the hallway lights dimmed automatically for the night. She drew a slow breath, the kind you take before pretending something didn't happen. But she didn't step back. Not yet. The next week, I told myself I wouldn't see her again. That the moment in her office had been nothing more than a strange lapse in judgment, a quiet, dangerous current we both stepped into without meaning to. But when I found myself walking past the English department again, my feet didn't stop. Her light was on, as always. I told myself it was coincidence. It wasn't. When she looked up and saw me through the glass door, her expression flickered, surprise, then something softer she didn't have time to hide. You're here late, she said, standing up. So are you. She hesitated. Old habits. I smiled. You already said that. That earned the smallest lift of her lips, half amusement, half warning. Inside, the room felt smaller than before. Maybe because I couldn't stop noticing the little things, her hair pinned loosely, a button undone at her wrist, the faint hum of a desk lamp between us. She was grading papers, red pen tapping rhythmically against the page. You shouldn't keep showing up here, you know, she said, not looking at me. I know. Then why do you? Because I wanted to see you. The tapping stopped. Her eyes lifted, slow, deliberate. You shouldn't say that. I didn't plan to. She let out a shaky breath, then smiled faintly, the kind of smile meant to disguise how much she felt. You never do. For a moment neither of us moved. The clock on the wall ticked too loud, each second dragging between heartbeats. Then her phone buzzed sharp in the quiet. She flinched, reaching for it too quickly. A message lit up the screen, department chair, meeting reminder. She silenced it and turned the phone face down, as though that could erase it. We should be careful, she said. People talk. Let them, I said before I could stop myself. Her gaze snapped to mine, startled, pained, and something else entirely. You don't understand what that means for me. She was right. I didn't. Not completely. But I understood the way her hand trembled slightly when she set the pen down. I took a step closer. She didn't move away. Her breath hitched. Noah. The way she said my name, it wasn't warning. It was surrender. The space between us shrank until I could feel the warmth of her skin. My hand brushed her sleeve. She didn't pull back. We both leaned in, not enough to break anything, just enough to feel it breaking anyway. Her eyes flicked to my mouth, then back up. Seconds stretched, fragile, suspended. And then, the sound of footsteps in the hall. Voices. Laughter. She stepped back too fast, almost knocking over her cup. I reached out instinctively, catching it, catching her wrist instead. We froze. The voices passed. The footsteps faded. But our hands didn't separate. Her pulse beat against my palm, steady, insistent, real. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. "This has to stop." I nodded. Neither of us moved. It started raining before either of us noticed. The kind of rain that begins as a whisper, soft, steady, then relentless. We'd left the building at the same time by accident, or maybe not. She was locking her office door. I was pretending to check my phone. By the time we stepped outside, the courtyard was already slick with water. "I'll wait it out," she said, glancing at the sky. I opened my umbrella and held it toward her without thinking. "You'll get soaked." Her hesitation was brief, half a second, then she stepped under it, beside me. The umbrella wasn't big enough for both of us. We stood close, closer than we ever had, the rain drumming above our heads. Her perfume had changed, lighter, unfamiliar, but the warmth of her beside me made my pulse stumble anyway. "You should go," she said softly. "You'll miss your train." "I don't mind." "You always mind." "Not with you." She turned her head slightly, eyes catching mine in the faint glow of the streetlight. There was something fragile in her expression, something breaking and trying to hold itself together. "You don't understand what this could cost me," she said. "Then tell me." Her silence was an answer in itself. We found shelter under the eaves of an old stairwell, the rain pounding around us like a curtain. She rubbed her arms for warmth, and before I could think, I reached out and pulled my jacket around her shoulders. Her hand caught mine halfway. "Don't," she whispered, but the word came out uneven, uncertain. "Don't what?" "Make this harder." The way she said it made my throat tighten. I brushed a strand of wet hair from her cheek. She didn't stop me. Her eyes fluttered shut, only for a moment, long enough for everything we'd been avoiding to feel suddenly, dangerously real. She stepped closer, maybe for warmth, maybe for something else. Our breaths mingled, shallow, uneven. "I shouldn't be here," she said, voice trembling. "Not like this." "Then tell me to go." Her lips parted, but no words came. "I can't," she finally breathed. My hand rested against her arm, her pulse quick beneath my fingers. Every second stretched into a decision we weren't making fast enough. "You don't know what you're asking for," she said. "I know exactly what I'm asking for." Her eyes met mine, raw, unguarded. "You'll regret it." "Maybe." I leaned in, not enough to touch, but enough to feel the heat of her breath, the faint tremor in her shoulders. The rain fell harder, masking the quiet sound she made, something between a sigh and surrender. Her hand came up, barely brushing my face, fingertips lingering just long enough to undo the last of her restraint. And then, a flash of light. Headlights cutting through the rain. A car pulling up at the curb. We both froze. She stepped back, breath shaking, eyes wide. A colleague's voice called her name from the car window. She turned toward it, but her hand was still on mine. And before she let go, she whispered, low, almost breaking, "Don't make me choose." For 3 days I didn't see her. No messages. No accidental hallway glances. No faint glow from her office when I passed by after dark. I told myself it was for the best, distance, perspective, whatever word made it sound less like loss. But on the 4th night, a message appeared. "We need to talk." After hours. The building was nearly empty when I arrived. Her office door was half open, lights spilling out like before. She stood by the window, phone in hand, face pale in the reflection of the glass. She didn't turn when I entered. "You shouldn't have come," she said quietly. "You asked me to. That was a mistake." I waited, heart beating too fast. "What happened?" She turned then, eyes red, tired but steady. "Someone saw us." The words hit like cold water. "Who? Does it matter?" she said too quickly. "They told the department chair I've been." She stopped, pressing her lips together. "Too close to a former student." The room felt suddenly smaller, the air heavier. "I'm sorry," I said, because it was the only thing that fit. She shook her head. Don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. But her hands were trembling, her voice fighting to stay even. Then why do you look like you're about to fall apart? I asked. Because I almost did, she whispered. She set her phone on the desk, and I noticed the faint text still on the screen, an unread message from someone I didn't know. They're asking questions. Her fingers brushed the edge of the phone, then stilled. You think this was just curiosity, she said. But I haven't stopped thinking about you since the day you left my class. Her words caught me completely off guard. I stepped closer, trying to read her expression, but she turned away again, as if saying it out loud had made her realize how much it cost. That's not fair, I said, my voice breaking a little. You can't drop that and then, I'm trying to protect you. She cut in. I don't need protecting. You're young. You have everything ahead of you. And she stopped, swallowing hard. I don't get to make selfish choices anymore. She started toward the door, but I caught her arm, gently, without thinking. Then let me make one, I said. She froze, her breath sharp, the warmth of her skin under my hand almost unbearable. For a moment, she didn't fight me. Her eyes met mine, that same deep, conflicted look that had undone me from the start. I told myself this was a mistake, she whispered. But you make it feel like the only thing that's ever been real. She stepped closer, close enough that her hair brushed my jaw. Then stop pretending it isn't, I said. Her breath trembled against my neck. And then, almost too quietly to hear, close the door. The door clicked shut behind us. For the first time, the sound didn't feel like protection, it felt like consequence. She stood with her back to me, breathing shallow, one hand still on the doorknob. The room was too quiet, the kind of silence that hums in your chest because you're both afraid to break it. Say something, I said. Her voice came out low, fragile. If I say it, it becomes real. It already is. She turned, finally facing me. The light from the desk lamp caught the damp in her eyes, the tension in her jaw. We can't undo this, she said. I don't want to. She flinched, as if I'd touched something too raw to name. I stepped forward, just enough to blur the distance. My hand brushed her sleeve, light, careful, but electric all the same. Her breath hitched. You don't know what you're asking for. I do, I said. For once I do. She shook her head, smiling bitterly. You think this is simple. It isn't. I never said it was simple. I just said it's true. That made her laugh, quiet, shaky, real. You always had a way of saying things I shouldn't let myself believe. I reached out, and this time she didn't move away. My hand found the curve of her shoulder. Her pulse jumped beneath my fingertips. Her voice dropped to a whisper. If we do this, I lose more than you can imagine. Then tell me to leave. Her eyes closed. I can't. I don't know who moved first. Maybe both of us did. One step, then another, until our foreheads touched. The air felt heavy, the world smaller, the sound of rain outside muffled by the space between our breaths. She lifted her hand to my chest, fingers trembling as if testing whether I was real. You shouldn't be here, she whispered again, but her voice broke halfway through it. Then stop me. Her eyes opened, and in them, I saw everything she'd been hiding: fear, want, regret, love that had nowhere to go. I've spent years keeping everything controlled, she said. Grades, lectures, expressions. You ruin all of it. Maybe that's not so bad. Her laugh turned into something close to a sob. I brushed a strand of hair from her face. My thumb lingered near her cheek, tracing the warmth of her skin. For a moment she leaned in, almost. The distance between us dissolved into a heartbeat, then hesitation. And just when I thought she would close the space entirely, she stepped back. Noah, she said, barely above a whisper. If I start, I won't stop. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Her eyes softened. Then understand this, I do want you. More than I should. But if I let that win, I'll lose the part of me that ever deserved you. The words landed heavy, final, and yet freeing. She reached up, brushed her fingers against my face one last time, a touch that said everything words couldn't, and then walked past me to the door. At the threshold, she paused. "When I said you knew how to change a room," she murmured, "I didn't realize you'd change mine." The door opened. The rain's echoes spilled in. And for the first time, I understood. She wasn't walking away from me. She was walking away from me. I didn't see her again for almost a month. At first, I tried not to look, not to pass her building, not to glance through glass doors, not to search for her in the crowd of faculty faces. But absence has its own kind of gravity. The harder I pulled away, the more it pulled me back. When her message finally came, it was simple. "If you're still nearby, I'd like to talk." I didn't think twice. We met in a small cafe off campus, the kind of place that smelled like warm bread and coffee grounds. She was already there, sitting by the window, hair pulled back loosely, a scarf looped around her neck. She looked ordinary. Peaceful, even. But when she saw me, something in her softened, like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. "You look well," she said. "You don't," I said before I could stop myself. That made her laugh, the quiet kind that finds its way out despite everything. "You still don't filter what you say. You still pretend you don't like that." Her eyes met mine, steady, knowing. Maybe I stopped pretending. The conversation started safe: work, new students, weather. But beneath every sentence was the same question: are we going to talk about what almost happened? When she finally reached for her cup, her hand trembled slightly. "They cleared the rumor," she said. "Apparently someone saw us leaving the building together, but nothing more." I exhaled. "Good." She nodded. "Good." Then quieter. "It scared me more than I expected." I didn't have an answer for that. I just reached across the table, resting my hand near hers. She didn't pull away this time. "It scared me too," I said. "Because it felt real." Her thumb brushed against my wrist, a small, trembling motion, but deliberate. "It was real," she said. The rain started again outside, a thin, silver curtain tapping against the window. We both looked toward it, almost laughing at the symmetry of it all. "Every time it rains, I think about that night," I admitted. She smiled faintly. "I do too." A pause lingered between us, comfortable this time. "I still don't know what this is," I said. "Neither do I," she replied. "But I know I don't want to keep pretending it didn't happen." That was enough. I stood, walked around the table, and she looked up, uncertain, hopeful. When I leaned down, I didn't kiss her, just pressed my forehead gently against hers. Her breath caught, and her hand came up to rest over my heart. It wasn't passion. It wasn't restraint. It was something truer, the quiet relief of being seen, and finally not running from it. When we pulled back, she smiled. "You still make me believe in the impossible," she whispered. I laughed softly. "And you still make me forget everything else." Her fingers found mine across the table, and this time, either of us let go. Outside, the rain kept falling, soft, endless, forgiving.